right. Today I want to talk about my required reading. It's reading that I would require if, you'd want to be around me. Just kidding. But like, no, if I taught a class, I'd love for everybody to have these books in their brains and under their belt, regardless if it was like audiobook or not. I don't really count my audiobooks as books I've read, but regardless, I think it's important to have the information given to your brain. There's just something a little different about having your eyes connect the words to your brain. You get what I'm saying? So, either way, the first one I'm going to go over is an audiobook that I finished in December. It's called Mind Magic, and it's written by a neurosurgeon. I like reading books like that from people who kind of know a little bit more about our biological makeup, because I think everything is connected. Sometimes I feel like spiritual books could be a little bit corny. So, yeah, I wrote down a summary for every single chapter and we'll just go over it. And then if y'all want to listen to it, I feel like you can find all the books I'm about to talk about as audiobooks on Spotify. A lot of this book is just about him telling his story and making connections as to how he fixed things for himself. He is a neurosurgeon, but he grew up in a pretty unstable environment. He grew up in an unstable childhood, and he talks about how, everybody kind of just like has the biological makeup to get yourself out of certain situations and certain mindsets, I would say. Of course, there's a lot of things that people deal with, such as systemic issues, cultural issues, racial issues. So things are going to be harder for some people more than others, but not everybody, I think, is going to wake up in this lifetime, even if they are the most privileged individuals. Do you get what I'm saying? So, yeah, this book, the intro just kind of gets you to understand that the universe just doesn't care about you. It's not out to get you, it's not out to get you to succeed. It's really you and your mindset, and you have to be the thing that's out to get you to succeed. Because if you're not, and you're always talking down to yourself, you're always worried, you're always addicted to certain emotions that are pretty low vibrational. It's just like I don't know, you kind of set yourself up to be the one that's out to get you. Like you're out to get yourself to fail, right? So, yeah, the intro just kind of talks about how you need to kind of work on your brain and your neurological pathways to be addicted to other emotions, so that you can kind of start to recognize a future that you want, right? Because your body's not going to lead you to make decisions to things you don't recognize, right? We as human beings, biologically, just based off of like our evolution, we don't really like love the unknown, right? So we kind of try and stay the same. And you might know a lot of people, or you might be the type of person that you don't like change very much. You don't, maybe you'd rather stay in a relationship that's just not the best, but you're afraid of change, you're afraid to be alone. When you set yourself up in situations like that, you're not opening the possibilities to the unknown, so you're going to get more of the same. I've kind of talked about this a lot on TikTok, where it's like, you have to make room for reward from the universe. And if you keep dealing with things like people who treat you badly, it's like that's kind of what the universe sees that you're dealing with, or God, or whoever. I kind of talk about the universe, the divine, God, all in the same aspect. That is a thing that's within you. That's your inner power, right? Our society kind of teaches us to give up that power to follow something else, like all of these churches and stuff, billionaires, celebrities, right? When in all actuality, the divine is within all of us. When I was growing up, I grew up Christian, right? I grew up Catholic, particularly. And I was told when I was younger, God is within everybody. So that's why you should treat everybody with respect and kindness. I don't know where it's all going now. I was just taught in a very small church, right? And it was a lot different. But yeah, like that's the power is within you. So when you set yourself up to just be nice to yourself and you utilize your power to tell the universe, I'm not dealing with this, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to leave this person, this, whether it be a partner or a friendship, for something that's better. You may be alone for a little bit, but you should be utilizing that alone time to get to know yourself so that you can be ready for the unknown, right? You can start becoming aware and becoming familiar with better things, like the things that you want, right? Instead of just harping on things that didn't work out. So yeah, that's kind of the intro, trying to get you to understand that, nobody's out to get you, but it is on you, right? And that's something that a lot of people are just never going to come to understand in this life. Like, unfortunately, no matter how many books you read, um not everybody, especially some of the people that you love, not everybody's meant to be this aware of stuff, right? That's kind of the hard thing about, you know, reading like spiritual books and all of these, nonfiction books. You can have this awareness, it could actually make you feel better. Like this book, it's like I'm going to go over three that should make you feel better, but it could also make you feel worse because now you're aware of it, but that doesn't mean you're automatically going to practice it, right? So I think that's what makes it hard for a lot of people who start to read and they start to become spiritual rather than religious. That's why a lot of them will end up reverting back to religion, because it's scary to be aware, especially when you just can't bring your skill or your will to practice what you're now aware of. It can be scary. So, yeah, either way, chapter 1 is called Out of the Wreckage, and it really is, a lot of this book is him talking about himself. So, what I said was recognize what you forget and where you get lost. Recognize where you start to manifest your own downfall. Stay present. So, I think I have a pretty hard time with staying present because I personally think my job makes this hard because my job has a lot of factors. It's just a little bit intense a lot of the year. And so I'm constantly thinking about that, thinking about what I can prepare for. And that comes with anxiety, it comes with fear. Chapter 2, networks and vibrations. This is kind of him getting into like the biological part of things in this book, and I would say that this audiobook or book, whatever, however format you read it, and another book that I'll talk about are kind of hard to keep up with. Mind you, I have a background in, like, I took all the bio and OChem and chem classes and anatomy classes because I had to for the beginning part of my undergrad before I changed my major. I took all of the prerequisites of the path that I was originally going on. So that was pretty much a pre-med path. So I have all that background, but still, like, obviously I didn't like it. I changed my major. So that's where it was kind of a little bit difficult to like keep up with things and all of like the terminology, but I think it's worth it once you push through it. I wrote, we have the nervous system, the way our bodies are wired to keep us alive. We as humans have socially evolutionized to where many of those happenings are unnecessary and honestly detrimental to where our soul may want to go in this lifetime. We must recognize these happenings and do the work to stop the feelings and beliefs that take our brains down a different path. So I'm sure a lot of people have seen those memes where it's like, my body doesn't know the difference between getting an email and being hunted by a lion. It's like, it's legitimately that. Like, your body was like, some of the happenings that I was talking about, it's like some of the things that it does is to prep you to have downtime, have a lot of downtime. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, there's like a rival tribe coming, and you have to like gather everything and get everyone to safety. It's like, and then there's more downtime, right? More like days of downtime. Now it's not so much that, it's you're getting an email. It's you're stressed out for an assignment. It's you have a presentation on Tuesday, right? It's like you're, and then it's like constant little stresses, but your body sees it as something as big as what it would have been like 10,000 years ago, right? That's where we have to like, that's where these books I feel like are productive in a way where it's like, okay, now we know what's happening like biologically, so we can kind of fix it. We can kind of pull ourselves out of the process and just become aware and maybe stop it so that we could, I don't know, like save ourselves. Because that's another thing about stress, and that's gonna like kill you. Stress, I feel like, what's like the number one thing of women, like older women dying? I think it's like heart disease, right? So yeah, the thing about stress, we really have to like utilize kind of coming out of that. Either way, chapter 3 says reclaim your power to focus your mind. To reclaim your power means to reclaim your reactions. Your body will feel a certain way and your brain will tell you how to react out of habit. You being able to slow the process down and thinking during this is the reclamation of your power. To stop your bad thoughts that speak down on you, question them, and send them away is you reclaiming your power. Oh, so that's kind of like what I was saying, reclaiming power over your body, over your soul vessel. It's where your soul is at right now in this lifetime, right? So it's like we should have more power over our bodies, but we are just not taught how to do that. Chapter 4 is clarifying what you truly want, what you truly want, right? It's like I feel like a lot of us are taught what to want via celebrities, right? Via influencers. Okay. What do you really want though? Everybody's different. A lot of people from where I'm from, I think a lot of them want to have a lot of money. A lot of them want, these huge um white millennial gray houses and stuff like that. I don't want that. Like even if I was a billionaire, right? I know that I individually would like a smaller, perhaps like one story. I always think of two story as like, you know, is that good for the hips when I'm a little older? I don't know, right? I want I would want like a one story Spanish style smaller house, right? With a lot of trees around it, even if I was super rich, right? Because that's just what I want. My friend might want a lot of like this really simple wardrobe. I want more of an eclectic wardrobe, right? It's like, what do you want? Like taking out everything you've been influenced to want, everything that your parents might want. What do you want? What did I say here? What are the deeper meanings behind what you think you want? Do you want to be rich, or do you not want to have to worry about money? There's a difference. Do you want a relationship, or do you want someone to prioritize loving you? There can be a difference in that. It doesn't always have to be romantic partners. Is it your dream to have a certain job, or is it your dream to have the respect that comes with that line of work? I think I think this is a problem right now in our society. A lot of people want to become doctors. It's like, okay, do you want to be a doctor to go and help people and save people, or do you want to be a doctor because you want to be respected? Right? It's just like, I feel like one reason is way better than the other, and the latter reason just isn't a good foundational reason to do that job, right? Because people's lives are at stake. You can be respected in so many other aspects. These seem like they are one in the same, but they really aren't. The latter of each of these examples is much more specific, and it's the foundation of the broader desire. Sit with your desires and determine why you even want that. And these little summarizations are really just me talking to me. I wrote this like, when was my 1/6, like over a month ago was the journal entry right after this. So, yeah, either way, I think sitting with yourself, this is why I would wish a lot of people would be alone, right? I think I just posted a video talking about the mentality of being alone needs to change, right? The mentality around being alone needs to change because I think when you're alone, it is scary because a lot of people can't be alone with themselves. Sure, it's scary sometimes, but it's really not once you get to know yourself and once you get to know what you truly want. So that's kind of a big factor in this one. Chapter 5, remove the obstacles in your mind. The protective attitudes in our minds that keep us from attacking change head on and seeking out better can quickly lead to negative self talk. Understanding that you are good enough to seek and work for what you want is removing the obstacle. Your brain is trying to protect you and keep you in that stagnant state so we can keep our bodies alive. But we aren't running from tigers, woolly mammoths, or rival tribes anymore. We won't die by applying to different jobs, pursuing that degree, putting ourselves in the public eye. Done is better than perfect. Or done is better than perfect. Stop thinking about it, do it, then do it again, then better again. Get comfortable in seeking change, be present with the discomfort. Whoa, can you believe I just like, yep, that's what I summarized for that chapter. Kind of what I was saying now, right? Gotta get over it. And it's hard. You know, I don't come from people who love change. I don't come from people who take risks, right? So I wasn't taught that as a child. I was taught to take the safe route, but I think something that this guy talks about, he mentions what is that actor? He is like in The Mask and he's the one that Ariana Grande was rumored to be having an affair with. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name because he's literally amazing and I wouldn't blame her for that affair. But he talks about how his father could have been an amazing comedian. He chose a safe job and he still failed at that. It's like you can fail at what is safe, right? So, you know, maybe it's just not worth it. It's like that's where they come and talk about regret a lot. Is like do you want to pick the safe thing and then you're 10, 12 years into your safe job and you're just like, damn, like what if I would have took the risk when I was younger? Either way, I think it's never too late to take a risk. So, chapter 6, embed the intention into your subconscious. So, you have to work for this. It's a constant practice. It's why the first couple of steps are clarifying what you even want, and then removing the blockages in the mind so that when you do the work, you're not doing it in vain. You're not doing it for something you'll get, then not even know why you even have it. You're not doing the work while those blockages and self limiting beliefs are still haunting you. You're doing what you're doing with intention. Without intention, we are lost. Skating through life with, or no, I put dragging through life with zombie brain. Figure out the first 3 steps, then get into rituals slash routines with how you're intending to change your life and the lives of others. So I put rituals slash routines because I think routines are rituals. Um, Rituals is just like a fun word, in my opinion. And I feel like routines with a little more intention might be rituals, right? It's like you have an intent instead of just sitting there and, going along with what your body's used to. You wake up, you go brush your teeth, you get in the shower. It's just like, are you present in that routine? Are you doing it with intention? Or are you moving with zombie brain type of thing? So, yeah, chapter 7 is pursue your goal passionately. You have to do, like, that's the thing about manifestation. And I think with when a lot of people talk about like, oh, manifestation doesn't work, it's like you still, like, you can like light all the candles and do all of the spells and read all the books and do all the things, but like you still have to put in work to get what you want. Anything worth having is something we must work for. You cleared the blockages and limiting beliefs, figured out why you want what you do, come to the conclusion that there must be intent in the routine. Now we must go through those rituals presently and passionately. It should be easy. Most of the time, we should find ourselves in a flow state. When we don't get when we don't and things get hard, we can always remember our intention and work our brains to keep on. Period. Chapter 8, release expectations and open to magic. This is like the big letting go aspect that everybody always talks about. Everybody's always going to always talk about, like, oh, once I forgot about it, like it just happened and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, be patient. Things may come in ways you don't expect. Do not be closed off to different ways. Be immersed in your passion, not your intent, and not in what you think is the outcome. Rejection is protection. Flow with life, control what you can, and let go of what you can't. Know when to stay and nurture what you can, be helped, and learn when to leave and pursue what is divinely being placed in front of you. Yeah. This is it. I feel like this was the end of the book. This was just a really good read. He has another book called The Magic Shop, which is where he learned like a lot of his manifestation stuff from this older woman in a magic shop he once went into when he was a child, and he wrote the book Magic Shop. BTS named their album after that book, I think. So it's just like it's touched a lot of lives. I'll probably put all of the info to these books in the description. But my second book is one that I'll finish tonight, but I think it's awesome. It's Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. I feel like a lot of these authors talk about how a lot of people talk about them in a way that's like low key disrespectful. Like they sit there and say like, "Oh, everything y'all are talking about is pseudoscience, and you're just making stuff up." There has to be like some validity towards this, in my opinion, because of the connection, right? Like this book, I will say, it's another one that is pretty, it's kind of hard to follow because he like repeats a lot of things, and there is a lot of like biological vocabulary and terms. I would say that this is probably like my Bible, in all honesty. Like I would definitely, I'm reading it, this is my January book, I'm probably going to read it again in December, and then I'll probably read it again in July of 2026, right? And then I'll probably read it again the next 1 year after that. And I'm going to have to read this more than once to really hone in on the information. But it just talks about the same things that kind of like this other author talked about, right? Like, let me try and find quotes that I liked. So he talks about different people who, through their meditations, tapped into like elevated emotions. And in this one, there's a lot of like case studies in this book. And he says, Anna was using her stressful conditions to recreate that rush of energy, and without realizing it, she became emotionally addicted to a life she hated. Science tells us that such chronic, long term stress pushes the genetic buttons that create disease. Yeah, it makes sense that the more you live addicted to stress hormones in your normal life, the less likely you are to want to create, meditate, or open your heart and be vulnerable. Taking power over yourself. We could call this the mind of God, unity consciousness, source energy, or whatever nomenclature you want to use to define the self organizing principle of the universe. This is a place where all potentials or possibilities exist as thought, the ultimate source of loving intelligence, and an intelligent love that is observing all of this physical reality into form. Like, yeah, period. Knowledge is the harbinger that evolves your experience. What? If learning means making new synaptic connections, the more you learn about something, the more you can appreciate it. Become aware of it and experience it, because now you can engage with it You can engage it with a new set of neural networks. It is in the act of learning that you further change or enrich your experience. After all, if you haven't heard anything new, if you haven't learned anything new, your experience will probably stay the same since you are perceiving reality with the same neural circuitry as before. Knowledge is a harbinger that evolves your experience. The higher the energy, the higher the consciousness. The higher the consciousness, the greater the awareness. The greater the awareness, the broader experience of reality you will have. We don't perceive things in our reality the way they are. We perceive reality the way we are. Like, some of this stuff just really gets me. But yeah, even if these people are pseudoscientists, I don't care. There are people who are literally listening to people who claim that they speak to Jesus Christ and God, and it's like, you're literally like rich as all hell. You don't get taxed, yet people are listening to those. No, I think I'm going to listen to the men. And that's big for me. Listening to men, reading books from men. Last book that I will talk about is this, an easy read. I would really love it if everybody, every single person on this planet, that's what would happen if I was dictator. I'd be like, everybody needs to read this book twice a year. It's called The Places That Scare You by Pema Chodron. Chodron? Yeah, I cried during it because it just teaches you how to send loving kindness either way, even to your enemies. It's hard, right? Even to people who've traumatized you. It's difficult. I read this in the middle of 2024. It got me to get over certain situations in my life that really were like traumatizing and just like hurtful and heartbreaking to me. Either way, let me read what I highlighted. The point is that we can misuse any substance or activity to run away from insecurity. However, if we find ourselves becoming righteously indignant, that's a sure sign that we've gone too far. It is possible to move through the drama of our lives without believing so earnestly in the character that we play, that we take ourselves so seriously, that we are so absurdly important in our own minds, is a problem for us. To remember a slogan right in the midst of irritation, for example, always meditate on whatever provokes resentment, might cause us to pause before acting out our resentment by saying something mean. It's like all of these quotes, now that I'm looking back at them, I haven't read this book. I haven't touched it again since middle of 2024. But it's like, it's all like kind of connecting what these guys were saying. We have got to take power over ourselves, to take back power over ourselves in the way that we react to things. It's just like, are people doing things to make you mad and you're gonna get mad? It's just like, I'm one to understand that I want to react to things, right? I want people to know how things made me feel, but at the end of the day, like, most of the time people wanted to do things because they wanted to do it. Does my reaction to it matter? Not really. Like, it's only upping my stress level, so it's just kind of like, okay. But yeah, this book, another quote: we then extend our wish further and further, wishing that all beings without exception be free of suffering and the root of suffering, wishing that all beings no longer be captured by their prejudices. Obviously, like, over half of our country needs to read this, but no, yeah, like, seriously, if I were dictator, everybody would need to read this book. We wish not only that our outer manifestations of suffering will decrease, but also that all of us could stop acting and thinking in ways that escalate ignorance and confusion. We aspire to be free of fixation and close-mindedness. Okay. Suffering is the result of an aggressive mind. I always talk a lot about how I think a majority of people in the United States of America have a punishment kink. I think a lot of our fellow citizens want to punish us. There's like they're addicted to punishment. That's why a lot of people have kids, because it allows them to talk to and treat people without any accountability, because it's like, oh, that's their kid, and nobody can really tell people how to parent. But in all actuality, it's like most people shouldn't have kids. Most people only did it for control. Let no man pull you so low as to make you hate him. It's like, that's the thing about this book. It kind of annoys you a little bit. It annoyed me low key, because I'm like, I don't want to send loving kindness to my enemy. Like, let no man pull you so low as to hate him. It's like, some people need to be hated. Some people are just like worthy of hatred, right? But at the end of the day, whose energy is that? I guess it's mine, because it's like, I hate you. Like, it is my energy that I'm giving away. And these people, they probably have like things set up spiritually to where it's like, oh, turn that hatred, turn whatever energy is sent towards me as goodness for me. And it's like, I bet you our president, our current elected president, has that. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about that. How he probably has things set up spiritually to where he turns everything, every single energy aspect that is sent towards him into beneficial energy for him. And it's just like, oh my God, imagine if Republicans and like MAGA just were ignored. They would literally disintegrate, I think. So yeah, this person is probably right. It's like, let no man pull you so low. It's important to recognize that we don't usually want to investigate laziness or any other habit. We want to indulge or ignore or condemn. We want to continue with the 3 futile strategies because we associate them with relief. It's like, this book is going to just call you out, and everybody needs that, even if you think you're a good person. I think we all need to always self-reflect. Each moment is an opportunity to make a fresh start. Like, this book is going to call you out. It's also going to give you hope. Forgiveness, it seems, cannot be forced. When we are brave enough to open our hearts to ourselves, however, forgiveness will emerge. Period. I know this video is kind of everywhere, but my reads of February are going to be Freedom is a Constant Struggle, Angela Davis, and Asada, an autobiography. I saw a lot of people talking about these books, and I'm excited to get into them. But yeah, it's a short month, so these are some short reads, so I figured they were books that I had. So I have a lot of books that I need to read because I'm addicted to buying books. But yeah, either way, I know it was kind of everywhere today. Hopefully you stuck through it, got a little something from these books. Maybe you'll want to get into them yourselves and then gain another perspective that I might have missed. Either way, I will see you on Friday.